What's up, everyone? It's Brian Lee, the Real Fit Realtor. Today, I'll be talking about pretty much my experience that I had in Austin, Texas, with two Airbnbs, going through the Airbnb Arbitrage model, right? I'm right here in Koreatown, LA, at my apartment. Shoot, the other day, like 2 days ago, just got my car broken into. Normal thing, just like a little bit annoying, you know what I'm saying? But like I just moved in about 2 months ago. Notice we still gotta get some wall art, gotta get these candles going. Sarah and I, we did get this our new bamboo plant. His name's Bam Bam. Yeah, but I mean, I moved here from downtown Long Beach about 2 months ago, and I mean, within about a year of living in downtown Long Beach, I got my car broken into twice. Hopefully, this is the last time here. You know what I'm saying? But it happens. Are these glasses real? What's your definition of real? I mean, no, they're not real. Like, help me see real, but like they're blue light glasses. And I picked these frames in particular because you know, like growing up, I saw my grandpa wear frames that were kind of like this, and yeah, I mean, the style inspired me, and you know, I just got to carry it on. Like my grandpa, like his name, his name was Man. His name was Man, right? In Korean is E, like you say the last name first in Korean, so it's Lee, I'm a Lee, E Man Chun, right? But like in English, his name was literally Man, right? That's like the most manly first name you could have, you know? So that was my grandpa, and carried on over here, you know what I'm saying? All right, but look, so let's talk about just kind of my experience, and possibly it can help you if you're interested, if you're wanting to do it, and from the successes I had from it, and then from my mistakes, like, yo, like, if it can help you, awesome. If not, awesome. It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But crap, this year has flown by, you know? And so let me tell you where this started. Like last year, one of my good friends, he lives in Dallas, right? So my boy, you know, we're talking back and forth, like, hey, like, let's start up an Airbnb, all that stuff, right? So I actually currently have two Airbnbs, one in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, and another in Las Vegas at the MGM Signature, which is like the three towers connected to the MGM Grand. Call it like the more luxury properties there, like the Signature series there, right? So first and foremost, the reason why I wanted to even start like an Airbnb, let's say in Dallas, outside of LA, is because last year and now the laws were like really strict and difficult for you to get an Airbnb like within LA, you know? So luckily, I got lucky with the one that I have at the Terranea Resort because it sits on resort property. So the laws are a lot different. It makes it a lot easy for me to operate my business because it's sitting on a resort, right? But if you have like a single family residence and you're trying to Airbnb that out, yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult, right? They're not really giving out like permits for you to list your property here in LA. So about like fall of last year, you know, my boy and I were talking, we are being serious about like, yo, like, let's try and get this thing started using the Airbnb arbitrage model. What that is, like, we don't own the property outright, right? So let's say a single family residence or a condo, whatever it is, but in this case, let's just talk a single family residence, which is a property, like a home that sits on land where you own the land as well. So yeah, like we pretty much, the model goes like this, and I'm sure many are familiar with it, but you talk to the landlord, you say, hey, I'm gonna lease your property. but then I'm gonna sublease your property, meaning we're gonna put in place a contract, a sublease addendum saying, hey, you know what? I am the person leasing your property, but then as the leaser of the property, I'm gonna also lease out the property to other tenants short term through Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, right? If the owner agrees, you list the property, all that good stuff. So, I meet my friend in Dallas. I just want to check out Texas. I want to check out the city, get a feel, like a vibe for the area, right? And we go to a coffee shop. After exploring the city a little bit, he shows me around, and then hop on Zillow, Redfin, and just start making calls. I'm making calls to property owners that own, the single family residences. We wanted a single family residence because the condos have that HOA overhead, and a lot of times dealing with an HOA and trying to put it on Airbnb, it gets real, the waters get a little murky because you gotta go through the HOA, see if they approve, and then a lot of times when people get a little freaked out when they hear Airbnb because they think like, oh shoot, like parties, which is like definitely not the case. Some maybe, but for instance, me and my boy, like we wanted our clientele to be mainly families, and the way we did that was we screened them, and also just making sure that it's a 2-night minimum, meaning a 2-night stay minimum, because a lot of times for parties, they'll just book one night. They'll go crazy, trash the place, and that's that, right? And that's like the worst thing that could happen, In my experience, like listing properties on Airbnb for over a year now, never had a situation like that, right? Because screening just clients' property properly, But yeah, going back, me and my boy kind of have like this job problem a little bit. But like, so we're making calls, right? We're making calls, and you'll see like on Zillow or Redfin, a lot of times a property owner, they'll just put the property up, or they'll get like a property management company to handle the lease, right? A lot of times if a home is under a property management company, like they're not going to agree to Airbnb. It sounds like too much of a headache for them. They get nervous. So from my experience, like every single time a property management company, I would call them, they're like, no, Airbnb, no, like the conversation's done. So, got in touch with a handful of homeowners, and eventually we went to go check out some properties upon speaking to the homeowner, and then one of them, like we really liked, right? And on top of that, the homeowner was cool. So we checked out his place in Dallas. We really liked the place, but like, I would just say the two things that made us not pull the trigger on that place was the rent. Three. The rent was a bit too high for what we comped in the area of what it should be. Second, it was like in this part of like South Dallas where like the property was really nice, but like just surrounding it, it didn't look too like friendly and advantageous to like what we had in mind. And third, like the place was completely unfurnished, which like we were okay with, but at the same time, I live in LA. My boy, he was working a different job at the time, and it just seemed like way too much work for us to like furnish the whole place. Would have been like at least $10,000 for us to furnish the whole place and then all that stuff. So we're just like, nah, right? But then, I built some good rapport with the homeowner, and he was like, yo, you know what? I got 2 places in Austin that you might be interested in, right? Which he owns in Austin. So, I don't know exactly when I physically went to go check out the property, but like that same trip I was on, me and my boy, we were in Dallas, and then we drove to Austin to meet up with my other friends that was like in Austin during that same time for a work trip. And me and my boy, like from Dallas, it's like 4 hours, and we went to Buc-ee's, which apparently that's the spot, right? Uh, a cool place. And then went to Austin, and I don't recall exactly how this went. I believe I didn't check out the property in person that trip, but yeah, I forgot exactly when I saw the property. But then it was either that trip or the following time, which I'm going to tell you about, right? So now, um, a couple of time elapses, and then me and my boy, like, just something happened, like no hard feelings or anything, but it was just like, okay, you know what, like, he wasn't ready to like go in on the Airbnb stuff at the moment. So I was like, okay. Um, and then, so those two properties in Austin opened up. And then uh, I either flew out there one time or like he just sent me virtual photos of it, virtual guided tours of everything. And I was just like, you know what, like, let's do it. So me and the property owner, okay, that I met in Dallas, we came to agreement upon two of his properties in Austin, okay? So he had two homes. He had one that was a single story, kind of a small place, but like it had 3 bedrooms, like the master bedroom, guest bedroom with like bunk bed, and then there's a third guest bedroom. So like technically, it could sleep like what 2, 4, 6, 8, and then there's a couch. Technically 10 people, but like nah, like the place. I think it was like about like 1,600 square feet about. Um, yeah, like nah, it wasn't fitting 10 people, you know. But he had told me this. He was like, hey, like I'm interested in doing the Airbnb arbitrage model with you, but like I want you to take on both of the properties, right? So that was the first property. And the second property was the one that I was like, oh shoot, this one's gonna be like the cash cow, you know? 2 stories, like nearly 3,000 square feet, I believe. Like that one had 3 bedrooms as well, all upstairs, but it had like, he had just put in a cowboy pool, and both these properties are fully furnished, you know what I'm saying? So that was like a big like plus for me, cause like I didn't have to do like, put all my money into getting the place furnished, and then also like just all that labor as well, you know, if I didn't want to outsource it, you know, which like I'll get into that in a moment. Like I pretty much did the majority of like the work myself, you know. So we agree on a sublease contract, you know what I'm saying? So on the smaller property, we had initially agreed to $2,500 a month flat, you know? And think about it as a homeowner, it's like, okay, it's advantageous because it's like, yo, like, I don't have someone in living in my property every single day, you know? So less wear and tear on your home. Second, look, I don't got to worry about anything. Like this guy being myself, you're just going to pay me the rent monthly. You know what I mean? And third, I told him as well, hey, like all the maintenance issues, anything like that, like I will take care of unless it's something like structural to your property that like plumbing or something like that, that like, I mean, I'll take care of it as in call the right people and all that stuff. But like, we agreed, hey, you're going to pay for that work, right? So yeah, like what happens is the first place we locked it down for 2,500, and the second place, which both of us were like, yo, this is the one that's gonna rack in the money, right? We agreed to initially a 60-40 split, right? Actually, we actually agreed initially to a 75-25 split, okay? I believe so. Where he gets 75 and I got 25, okay? Honestly, like now that I say that out loud, like, wow, okay? I should have definitely brought that down, but that's what it was, okay? So I flew into Austin December 30th, 2022, okay? And around this time, like, yeah, there was just like, I had some things I was hashing out, like in my personal life, whatever. And I was just like, you know what, like I got to start these 2 Airbnbs up. Like, so, and I had some time. I was able to do this during this time as well. So let me tell you what happened. Like, I fly over to Austin, Texas, and um, I get to work, meaning I check out everything in person. Okay, it's furnished, but then like, I was like, okay, like it needs a theme, like got to make it look dope. You know what I'm saying? So the first place, the smaller one, I gave it more like, it was both kind of like this cowboy type theme, Man, I'm from LA, man. I'm thinking Texas, we're thinking cowboys and all that stuff. Like, you were thinking the same thing. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I just hit Amazon and like ordered a bunch of like cowboy stuff, neon lights, like cowboy hanging hats, like those like fake grass that you put up all against the wall. Ordered all that stuff, neon lights. Yeah, and then so I'm ordering all that, and then for both properties, I'm just like creating this cowboy-ish type theme, and then the biggest thing when you start, or if you plan to start an Airbnb, is getting like a trusted team of cleaners. Like your cleaners are like essential to the business, So that was something where I met with about 3 to 5 cleaners to really see, okay, like who has the best communication, who can I rely on, on like, because sometimes people will check in or buy an Airbnb like last minute, like who's gonna be there like pronto, and then ended up finding a great company. Shoot, what's their company, man? It was yeah, it was Cece's Maids. Like shout out Cece's Maids in Austin, Texas. Like I appreciate you. You know, um, yeah, they did a great job. So like that was essential. You know, but pretty much I'm in Austin and I'm like just pretty much doing all this myself. Like at first, I was spending a lot on like I was spending a lot on like the Airbnb, like purchasing stuff for the theme, as well as like a couple things like happened where like um, the lock, like they called the Yale locks, right? That was like malfunctioning. Got one of those. Negotiated that with the homeowner though. Um, I bought like what's what's that game? What's that game, man? Why am I forgetting? The game where you throw the beanbag back and forth. Um, maybe it'll come to me. But I'm just spending a lot of like money on these things where like just trying to create the theme, right? So I believe like I spent about like 4,000 on just like all the kind of amenities within the property, and like also like I mean from consenting with the homeowner, there's a couple pieces that I painted, um, light fixtures that we replaced. Trying to think what else. Yeah, like stuff like that. Okay, so pretty much what happens is I put a security deposit on both properties. Okay, on the smaller one it was 2,500. The second one it was I believe I put 3,000 or 3,500. Okay, so it was 3,500. Okay, and then pretty much set that up. It took me honestly, it took me a lot longer um, than it should have. I was moving kind of slow. I was just kind of trying to be too much of a perfectionist. Like at one point, I remember like I was just like I cleaned both those properties, like scrubbed every corner of those properties. Like my hands were like, I mean, my hands are like peeling off right now and dry, but like they were jacked up. I just want to make sure like everything is spotless. Like it's like the little things too. It's like buying like new shower curtains, like getting new utensils, all that stuff in. Um, just like a lot of little things, just like compiled up, you know. And on top of that, like um, the smaller property, I actually got a guy to like build a whole fence around the property because it was like on a corner of a street near a school, and like too many people and kids and all that stuff were like walking back and forth on the grass. So like built up a fence. Well, actually, I didn't build it up. I called the guys that did it. They did a great job. Um, but actually, I mean, they did a great job. But shoot, like the hinge on the door broke like 3 times. Just stuff like that, right? Everything's compiling, whatever. Um, so yeah, like let's go pretty much get everything set up. I'm about to leave Austin, okay? And like, I remember I was getting my hair cut at like one of the local barbers, and he was like, bro, there's like this hibachi like truck. It's so fire. And I was like, all right, like, yeah, like I mess with hibachi. So I go over there and like, actually I Postmates it or whatever, right? The guy brings it and I'm like working on the property. It's like, it's late at night. It's like midnight, okay? Holy crap. I ate that hibachi, like I inhaled it, right? But like, I had the worst stomachache of my life. Like, I've never had food poisoning like that in my life. Like, cold sweats, like, I was like, you know, like, it was bad. Like, it was really bad. Okay, so like, that actually had me out for like 2 days. I couldn't even move, like, just a million bathroom trips. Like, man, oh my goodness. It's terrible. Okay, so like that happens, and then you know, I eventually get my flight back to LA. Took me like, honestly, it all in all, it took me 3 weeks. Okay, like I could have shaved that time down way faster by like not trying so hard to like make everything perfect, and just honestly, I should have just like trusted the cleaners a bit more to do what they do, and like also like shout out, like I had a great photographer take pictures of the property as well. Um, yeah, like took me a lot longer than it should have. Okay, but I get back to LA and now everything is generated just through my phone. You know, talking to the cleaners, and then just like talking to the guests, right? But this is pretty much what happens. The small property that like I was paying $2,500 a month for, like that ended up being the cash cow, right? Okay. I mean, at its most lucrative month, probably netted about like a little over 4,000. Okay. But like on average, I would say like that property was netting about two to 3,000 a month. Okay. So the other property, which was on a 75-25 split, I think like come March, we renegotiated the contract where it was 60-40, okay? But this property here just had like a lot of maintenance issues. Like the cowboy pool wasn't working too well. Like there was like a leak from the roof. So then what happens is like your worst enemy obviously on Airbnb is like those bad reviews, you know? So people started complaining a little bit, all that stuff. And then like, it just wasn't being a good look, right? But then like, so launched it pretty much end of January, right? And then come like around May, okay? So once again, the smaller property is doing about 2 to 4. Like the best, most lucrative month was like 4,000, and this is net, right? My cost monthly was like the rent, which is like 2,500, plus like the cleaners charge, like it was a bit pricey, but like honestly, like I paid for the reliability and the work they did. You know, like it was like about 153 a cleaning, you know? So like my monthly costs were kind of getting somewhere, and I was paying for utilities, right? So monthly cost was like about like 3,500, like sometimes 4,000 on like a really expensive month. Okay, but so yeah, gross on that good month was probably like 8,000. I netted about 4. Okay, um, the other property was just like not doing well. Like utilities were high. Um, there was some negative months, and then like on the positive months, like the best month, it probably did like a little over 2,000. Okay, like on average, that property did like anywhere from like 1,000 to like, yeah, like 1,000. Okay, and it was just a lot more headache than what I anticipated. And like for me, I was like, I don't know if this like really feeling worth it. But like this is where things just got a little murky. Like I said, like the homeowner was cool. Like he was a cool guy. Like initially when I went into Austin, like we had a beer, like cool dude. But then I guess what ended up happening towards the end is like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's a business relationship. Like he told me, hey, for the property, because each month I would actually share with him my P&L, which is like the profit and loss, right? So he was seeing how much it was generating, all that stuff. And then I think around like May, he was like, yo, like I'm raising the rent from 25 to 3,000, right? And like for me, mind you, like he knew, like he knew it was just like me running this, right? Like I got my LLC to make it proper and to show that like I mean business. But like I'm not gonna go out of my way to like hire all these lawyers and stuff in this situation, you know. But like he was like, yo, I'm raising it to 3,000, right? And it's just like obviously like I had my pushback there, whatever. But then I was just like, okay, you know what, like let's continue to run this. And then the other one, it was just like, yeah, we renegotiated 60-40, you know. And yeah, during the course of this, he was like, hey, you know what, like we were going back and forth because at one point I was like, shoot, like man, it's not really like I'm not really making much off of this, and like a lot of maintenance were coming up. So now we're kind of going back and forth a little bit. But like, long story short, just it ends up being, you know what, like, hey, cool doing business with you, whatever, but like we're terminating it come like end of July, I believe so, right? And I guess this is the one thing that like for me personally, I was like, okay, like I felt a little like whatever, but it's okay. Like at the end of the day, it was successful venture. Both parties made money on this, right? But like, yeah, he was saying, hey, my realtor told me that like the properties in this area are going for like X amount for rent now, and as a realtor, I was looking at the comps and I was like, I don't think it's not that high, right? But obviously, like, it's his properties too. Like, I'm running the Airbnb through his property. And another thing as well, like, I guess when I think about it like this, it's like, I'm doing you a service as well because there's not too many people, like, there's not someone living in your house 24/7. And then also, every single time a guest leaves, I'm sending a professional cleaner in, which I'm paying for, right? To professionally clean your property, right? But I mean, with that being said, look, like, I had those security deposits, okay? For the one on the smaller property that ended up being the one that made the most money, I was like, yo, just keep the security deposit and then for like the last month's rent, whatever it was, right? But then the other property, the bigger one, that's where we got into like, he started ghosting my calls and he started ghosting my texts. And like, mind you, like at first, like we're cool. Like for the most part, we're talking business, but sometimes we would talk personal and stuff, And then he just started ghosting me. And then, yeah, like I guess at the end, I was like, yo, like I want my security deposit back. And he gave me this list of like what he deemed like he should only give me $500 back of the security deposit, right? And I put $3,500 down on the security deposit. And that's where like, I think that's like one of my biggest learning lessons from this is just like, okay, like I had to construct that better on the front end of making the contract to make sure that that didn't happen, you know? Look, I blame myself, you know, but like, I guess that was one thing that I was a little frustrated when it came to that. But like, besides that, it was a healthy, successful endeavor, you know? I would just say, like, the smaller property, oh my goodness. And this is one thing too, like, everything's bigger in Texas, right? This is where I knew I was like, no, that's a wrap now. Because I was trying to make it work, you know, because that smaller property was like bringing in good money. And it was really getting booked out, you know? So I was like, I was trying to make it work. But what happened was one of the guests, like, took a picture of like a cockroach that got in. Yeah. Like, I hate cockroaches. And like, this cockroach was like, it was huge. Thing was like a hockey puck. Thing was massive. And it was like, it was like double-sided. I swear, it had like two heads, like the cartoon like cat dog. It was crazy. I couldn't even, like, I was looking at it on my phone and I was like, this is disgusting. You know? That's where I was just like, okay, you know, like, this is about to be a wrap. Because I sent an exterminator to the property, okay, to check out just the bones and everything. And he was like, oh, bro, like, they got eggs up in here and everything. And I was like, oh, no, it's a wrap. So that's pretty much my experience from running an Airbnb out of state, right, through the Airbnb arbitrage model. The positives I would take away is that, like, besides like the initial work on the front end, and like, honestly, just always having to like be attached to your phone, it's a good endeavor. Like, I enjoyed it. And on top of that, like, it's not that difficult. It's just that, like, you really got to stay like on it in terms of like being on your phone, keeping in contact with cleaners, just making sure you're providing good customer service. And I would just say, on like the cons of like what I learned, is just like, okay, like, you know, if you just want to, like, let's say, check up on the property or pull up on the property, like I'm in LA, excuse me. I'm in LA, you know? And I was essentially kind of just doing this myself. So like, there was a couple like issues that came up. Like, I'll share with you one. For instance, like the cockroach stuff. And then at the bigger property, there was like a leak coming in from the ceiling. And like, you know, that was like a real headache in itself too. Because I mean, like, it's like a terrible situation. I had to shut it down. I'm losing money. Like, who in the right mind would want to pay for an Airbnb with a leak in the ceiling, you know? So that was something where, like, if it was closer to home, I could have, like, I feel like I would have nipped it out the bud real quick, got the proper people in quicker, you know? But like, yeah, with that being said, look, the pros is that you find a right, like, property owner, or, you know, you buy your own property, you furnish the place, and like, honestly, it really automates itself. The biggest thing, once again, is the cleaners, because they're doing the majority of the work, making sure that, like, your place is pristine for your guests. The cons of, let's say, the arbitrage model is like, yeah, like, making sure your contract is set in stone in the very front end, to make sure that, like, you know, to avoid, like, kind of my mistake, like whatever with the security deposit, right? But all in all, I would say it was a positive experience. It was a real good learning lesson. It made money, and on top of that, like, you know, I took those valuable lessons and just implemented them to my current Airbnbs now. So yeah, I mean, I just want to share that with you. I appreciate you. Till next time, hey, let's have a great day. Let's get it.